my song. Let's sing it. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Come on, it's gonna be fucking awesome. You know the words. It's gonna be fucking awesome. That's it, say. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Yeah!
Howdy, howdy, howdy. It is I, Jesse Blaze Snider, the Coolest Geek Alive. How are you doing, my fellow Coolest Geeks? Are you doing awesome? I hope you're doing awesome. If you're out there and you're freaking out, I'm sorry. If you're out there and you're in any of these areas that have been devastated, I'm so sorry. Care Bear stare to you guys. Been working on doing something for the fire relief in LA for a little while, and then it kind of just like evaporated on me, and I have to kind of check back in and see what's going on there. But this whole situation has been rough on so many people close to us, and if you're going through any of that stuff, guys, oh my God. Oh my goodness, I can't even think about it too much, because if I do, it like breaks me down. I love you guys, and I'm so sorry to know that so many people in the world are dealing with so much. There's so much going on right now that it seems like there's barely like enough time to get all of the information, and natural disasters, and just so many things. It's crazy. Anyway, before we get into this thing, I haven't talked about this in a while, and I just wanted to talk about it again because it's just kind of come up again for me recently. And having this platform to be able to talk about these things at length and not just be stuck to a little snippet. The problem is we're living in a giant mind. Everything is concept. And sort of often the best way to talk about anything is metaphorically, to give similar concept, to explain parameters, and then you go, okay, now based on those parameters, let me explain something to you. And so many people just do not have the bandwidth to fucking, listen. When I was really young, I recognized that, I just remember being taught about how, people judge a book by its cover and that you shouldn't do that. And I remember going, yes, they do. They do judge a book by its cover. I agree with this. And no, they fucking shouldn't. They shouldn't judge a book by its cover. Because my father was a rock star. For those of you who don't know, I'm Jesse Blaze Snider. My dad's D. Snider. He was the lead singer of Twisted Sister. I can tell you. Oh, and if I didn't say, the main reason why I want to say this is me calling this show Coolest Geek Alive, because there's like this presumption of arrogance, right? I'm the Coolest Geek Alive. I'm the Coolest Geek Alive because I try to be cool to everyone. To me, what I learned from my family about being cool was like, you open up doors for people. You never know where people may end up. And and that's not the only reason to do that, but being cool to everybody. I I talked about this before. I'd written some pitches for Sesame Street when they moved to HBO. I don't think they ever got read by anybody, but one of them was Ernie Be Good, and it was Ernie in a leather jacket, and he was just doing good deeds on Sesame Street. And these little kids were watching him from far away, and they were talking about, he's so cool. That's the coolest Muppet on Sesame Street. That's Ernie B. Good. And he looked good doing it. But that's really the thing. It's like, it's about being somebody who could look down on you if I wanted to. I've gotten my shit together. I'm fucking cool. But I will never, and I would never, because being cool is about being able to roll in all worlds and being able to be somebody who is like a unifier, which is how I always saw myself. So, when I sit here and I talk about all of these, complex issues of sort of left and right in geek culture, entertainment, and all this stuff, it's because I love everybody, and it's really kind of effed up, what has really been going on, because it's been this crazy power play at the top. The entertainment powerhouses are foisting their general consensus political opinion upon everybody else. And now, full disclosure, I kind of tend to be on their side in the majority of cases. It's just they've taken it to this extreme, which is much like the extreme that I didn't appreciate on the conservative side of things, where I was told I was going to hell when I was a little kid. And this is that thing about judging a book by its cover, and why I was jumping out of my seat when I heard judge a book. You have to fucking judge a book by its cover, because I had been to what was it? We lived in Florida for 3 years, and I had a wonderful relationship with a kid down the road. He was my best friend. It really kind of made the move to Florida bearable. And this other kid moved in, basically between us, and just like kind of in between me and that other friend's house. And he got on very quickly with the friend that I had. And all of a sudden, I wasn't exactly welcome over there. And as I would come to find out, this lady had poisoned the family against my family and told the family that my family was, the devil, and, just all of these terrible things about what Dee Snider was up to. And it wasn't true. It wasn't true at all. They were kind of raising us like Protestant. My dad was, a little closer to an atheist. My mom was always kind of spiritual, but not necessarily guided or able to explain too much. Or I should just guided, sure, but like not able to necessarily explain anything in any sort of satisfying way for me. So I was kind of coming up myself as an atheist, because I didn't really like. I didn't like Christ on the cross, and I thought that was a manipulation, and I didn't like that they were manipulating us with fear, because it was very, very unsettling to walk into a place and see this man hanging from a... As soon as I think about it deeply, it kills me. And especially, he was the person that they had told me about. He was so good. I'm like, this is what they did to the guy who was so good? Oh my goodness. So like that really like soured me to religion, and I was kind of atheist, but our foundations were, be good people, be good to each other. The rotating cast of characters from Twisted Sister's band and security and the management in between. I mean, there was not like a person of some variety, race, persuasion. I mean, just like all sorts of people, and all treated like the family. So many of them. My uncles, uncle this and uncle that, and it's pretty funny. So for me, I didn't realize there was any sort of problem with like race or sexism or anything until it was spelled out to me that this was like an issue you guys have been dealing with. And that's really like how I've kind of always viewed it. At the same time, it fascinates me. So like I like to try to understand. And I've spent a lot of time trying to understand, because I'm like, kind of, all this stuff is nuts. And do you know what I've learned trying to understand? Supremacy and stupidity like that, right? You can't judge a book by its cover. None of the devils are quite as black as they be painted when you really get into people and things and motivations, and I've said this silliness before, but it's like, I remember trying to, understand Nazis at a time where I was very, punch those damn Nazis. And I remember just this, I couldn't help but feel bad for this motherfucker, because his dad was a Nazi. And he was just clearly coming from this place of like, well, I love my dad, and my dad wasn't bad, and my dad said that the war didn't happen like that, man. And he just kind of sat there going, yeah, it did. But at the same time, clearly there are some people who feel that way. That's the contingent of like the thing, like this is a feeling. This is something that people think. There are lots of things that people think, and they get demonized for it often. And sometimes there's very good reason. Sometimes there's a very good reason. But so often these things survive and they become different things than they actually are. And the people all around you are different things than they actually are. I've been very upset by the dehumanization of the Republican Party by the Democratic Party over time. I was party to it myself. I didn't hate Republicans, but I thought they were stupid. And I thought there was this group of stupid people. I did. I really did. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. Because it was dicky. It was the same way I was thinking for so many years in my life that all these people that said they were abducted by aliens were just crazy people. Like, there's a lot of them. They're all crazy people. I mean, and that's pretty messed up for us to just discount the fears, discount the feelings, all these different things. The point is, you can't judge a book by its cover. The entertainment world loves to try to like paint things with like one brush stroke, and so does the media. But the nuance to all of the people and the different types of people that are out there in the world, the different types of Republicans that there are, black supremacists, some of those guys are Republicans because it's a more independent party. Libertarians are Republicans, like there's a lot of different people in that group. But for a while, I was just like, it's just this stupid little group of people. But this thing has changed. This whole culture now has changed. People are understanding that a lot of that is bots that are like parroting this thing. But the entertainment industry, boy, they have been pushing and pushing and pushing. So to wrap up this thing, I kind of stupidly did this, but I did this. I've spent my life I spent my life trying to be a book whose cover you should not fucking judge. I wanted my cover to send all the wrong signals about who and what I was. I wanted to be like the lady who shows up at the doorstep of the Beauty and the Beast, at the Beast's castle with the flowers, but she's ugly and he doesn't want to let her in. So when I found out that people didn't like tattoos, I got tattoos. When I found out that people didn't like gay people, I almost started telling people that I was gay. Because I never felt like a guy or a girl. But I don't like guys. I like girls. But I never felt like a guy or girl. And I had to kind of learn what that meant to be a guy, be a girl. And I did have to learn what it meant to be. But I felt very different. So that's considered non-binary. Which I hate, like all these limiting things, So I was trying to figure out like something because I saw that it bothered some people and I didn't think that it should. And I was like, fuck that. Just wanted to be that. When I saw the mohawk, I was just like, that's my haircut. And for years, my mom wouldn't let me do it. She wouldn't let me cut my hair. I'm just like, I want a mohawk. I want a fucking mohawk because I didn't want to have my mother really was like she was just convinced that I was really handsome and she wanted me to be handsome, and I just kept trying to tell her, I'm like, I am not handsome, I am a brain. And I don't want people to look at my fucking face and be like distracted. I want them to read my fucking lips. This place could be more wonderful, and I'm disappointed with our leadership that we have not been able to arrive somewhere better, faster. And this is crazy that you guys are all standing for this. Please, like, listen to me. That's where I'm at with it. If nobody else will speak sense, and I see some positive things happening right now, some reasonable middle of the road. It's amazing that RFK Jr. was brought into the fold, and if they let him, he will do some wonderful things. I promise you, he's not a crazy person. His voice is very hard for me to listen to as well. He has a difficulty, but he let him take his fucking shirt off and see how healthy he is as an older man, and a man who's lived a lot of life and knows a lot of things. And please, I've seen a lot of smearing of him, and he does not deserve it. He's trying to help us. He's trying to help our kids. Don't let the stink of Donald Trump, be on him. Like, he's fucking clean as a whistle, And the fact that Trump brought him in is, hey, thanks, Trump. I really appreciate it. I mean, really, that should be the type of stuff that you go, okay, well, that's cool. That's middle of the road. So I don't know. We'll see. But this is me. I'm a person who's preaching reason, and I want reason. And that's why this is the Coolest Geek Alive. Because I'm not the fucking coolest geek alive. It's a pledge that I make to myself. Like, who's the fucking coolest geek alive? I don't know. We could list them off. One of my best friends. I mean, he really was a very oof. Oh, it's gonna make me cry. Sorry. No. Damn it. I don't know why it's making me cry so much. But Jason David Frank, he's one of the coolest geeks alive. He used to go to conventions. He was just on everybody, like, he wasn't above everybody. He was right on everybody's level. And like, he would just make the fans feel so great, man. He would take time with people. He was awesome. He and I just became friends as I was hosting, and we were what were we doing? A costume contest, and we were cracking jokes, and we became friends. And I'm sorry, he died, and when I think about him, it makes me really sad, because I wanted to. He was very talented, and Hollywood would disrespect him, and the Wizard World would disrespect. A lot of people would disrespect him, and he would make them so much money, and it was so fucking lame what was going on with him sometimes. And he was so genuinely cool. Fucking MMA fighter. He had his own school. He would jump out of fucking airplanes, which is the reason why I cry, because he invited me down to go hang with them, and I was scared to jump out of the plane. And I was scared that if I went down there, they were gonna convince me to do it, and I didn't want to go down. And when he passed away, fuck, I regret it now really bad. So, yeah, I love you. So, he's fucking cool as fuck. He had a tattoo that said, Jesus didn't tap. So there you go. Or how about like fucking Vincent Price? Or, the fucking Gene Roddenberry, or those are the fucking coolest geeks alive, man. I'm not the coolest geek alive. But I hope to be. I hope to be. I hope to be. And I figure, what's the best way to live up to something? Place the bar really fucking high. So anyway, that's the proper explanation of Coolest Geek Alive. Don't judge a book by its cover. Never judge a book by its cover. Try to give people the benefit of the doubt. I find the weirder somebody is, a lot of times the more I like them. That's for me. But I'm a weirdo, and I want my other weirdos to be free to be weird. And I think actually when the weirdo side of things, the liberal side of things, are being too weird and are waving their freaking penises in everybody's face, it's just too much, guys. And it's just, you have to find a balance in all things. And the thing that's making the other side uncomfortable, you could try to go like, okay, well, we'll keep that shit indoors, and we'll try not to be such dicks about this whole thing. And it's been not exactly that. It's been a lot of like aggressive politics and in the entertainment world. Oh my goodness, they've been bringing all of this politics in for so long. And this is a really good segue into the Fantastic Four and Superman, and because everything that we've had going, these movies, we'll talk about the trailers and do they have any merit and whatever else in a second, but oh my God, the room that these movies are coming out into is just not having it. If you understand what I'm saying, in the case of the Superman movie, you've got the fumbled Scott Snyder verse, which went into the, writing off Batgirl verse with mixed results on Joker and then Joker 2, and then things like Birds of Prey, which like, oh my God, Birds of Prey is just so aggravating for me because, one, I love Birds of Prey. There's great fucking Birds of Prey comic books. Harley Quinn has never been a part of the Birds of Prey. Still, they could have done something good with the fucking Birds of Prey that would have made the Birds of Prey fucking interesting, but they didn't. They don't look like the fucking Birds of Prey. They don't act like the fucking Birds of Prey. They don't operate like the Birds of Prey. None of it makes any sense. This shit is bananas, honestly, what they've been doing. And it's bananas in the biggest way of that they've had all these years advertising a certain thing to an audience. And the thing that they own, the thing that they have copywritten is the aesthetic from the comic book. It's been used in ads. It's been used on covers. Covers is the important thing. Because let's say the audience for Birds of Prey has been like 30,000 on and off, at best for years and years and years when it's been actually on the stands or whatever. But a loyal fan base of people who do enjoy the book. But then, of course, it's collected as trade paperbacks. It's on the racks there. There's covers. People are looking through at bookshops, at comic book stores, at Barnes & Nobles, wherever it is. They're seeing these covers. They're seeing these things. It's been advertised to them that this book may be good. But what is a film? Film is a short order cook version of a book. So perhaps they haven't had the time or the will to read the comic that they hear is good, but, okay, we'll check out the movie. But they're hoping that it's going to be similar to the thing that they've seen that has been able to keep an ongoing audience with its premise, whatever that may be, being honored. Because, well, why wouldn't you do that? Well, they didn't do that. And, coming off of the Scott Snyder universe and then basically, re-editing Justice League and adjusting all these things, and then having to come back around with the Snyder fan base, getting them to release the Justice League 2.0, the 4-part, 4-hour version of the movie, which I like, but it is a 4-hour version of the, like, you got to figure out another way. If to 4 hours to tell this story, it just seems like bananas to me. What are you doing there, Zach? Like, seriously, man. Like, 90 minutes. 90 minutes. If you got to be a little bit more, make it worth it. It's like shit's fucking crazy, these lengths of times. I think there was a great quote that the length of the film should be appropriate to the length of your ability to hold the human bladder. And I think that is true. So you've got the DC universe, which has just been completely mishandled, and it's about to be started anew with a Creature Commandos animated and sort of a funny series, which I really enjoyed with John Cena, and the Suicide Squad. So we're coming off of some things that tone-wise, the audience isn't sure that James Gunn's capable of doing what we want him to do. And then, so the deck is stacked against him. In the Superman movie, like, everything's kind of like reliant upon that. And we can't say that the fandom is really abuzz with the overall announcements from this whole shebang. There's kind of a lot of quiet confusion about most of it. We're hopeful about that Green Lantern series, I think. But then other things, it's just like, I don't know. It's really a lot of I don't know. And this Superman is kind of the biggest I don't know. So we'll get into a second the trailer, because the trailer was pretty good. But Fantastic Four, mind you, has been sort of had a pause button. Fox did the weird remake, and Josh Trask directed, I think, or whatever, and then prior to that, you had like the silly Tim Story versions of the movies, which were fun but not great and thing. Even though Michael Chiklis was kind of the right guy for the part, the Thing suit looked like garbage. But Chris Evans was great as Johnny Storm. And there's a certain amount of things that were done right. But then you got Galactus as a giant cloud and all this other shit. Now, you've got a Marvel universe where the feeling is they can't get anything right. Nobody's crediting Marvel for the third Spider-Man film and its success. Nobody's crediting. It's Aaron Sparrow calling me on the phone. Aaron Sparrow, I'm doing a podcast. Can I call you when I finish? You may call me when you're finished. All right, love you. Bye bye. So nobody's giving them credit for Spider-Man 3, and nobody's giving them credit for the Deadpool Wolverine movie, because basically that was all right, don't change a thing, bring yourself into the Marvel Universe, and I'm sure they had some hand in it, but nobody is giving them credit for that, is what I'm saying. So this Fantastic Four movie is definitely being viewed as they made it. Marvel made it. And in case you didn't know, one of the most recent They Made It that's about to come out is, I think, going to be maybe one of the biggest bombs. It has to be one of the biggest bombs in history, considering how much money they have spent on this movie, this Captain America 4 movie, because they stupidly made it real-world political from the very beginning, and it tested terribly with audiences. Apparently, it's been done for, I don't know, it might even be like 2 years now, some of the early stuff on this. And then they were reshooting it without a script, and there was quotes from Anthony Mackie going like, "This is ridiculous. We don't have a script." And now I think even perhaps a third time last minute emergency reshoots have been happening since the Trump presidency to even erase whatever remaining vestigial tales of, I don't know, I guess Trump hate that was built into this script. And this is the thing, right? You see what they're doing right there? Trying to erase the Trump hate. This is what I've been trying to do. I've been trying to talk to you guys. I've been trying to go, I don't really care for Trump either. He's really not my type of person. I don't know that we can trust him. However, these people that you're demonizing, as the media is demonizing as being racist and all this other stuff for supporting Trump, this isn't true. They did the same thing to the geek fan base. They use Star Wars fans, you're sexist and no, that's not true. That wasn't true. And I have been investigating. That's the thing. It's like when these accusations were made, it was like, well, let's go suss it out. And I've looked pretty good, man. And I can't find it. I know it's out there in small and insidious ways. Believe me, there's all sorts of things that are out there in small and insidious ways. That's why I do my Friday podcast, Everything They Don't Want You to Know. But this through line of casual, there are just people who don't like being told what to do. And also like the free pass that the internet gives them to just sort of fuck with people. And making everything a hot button issue has just given a power over the internet, over everything. Oh, everything's over. And it's made them easy to demonize, but they're just goofing off. They keep trying to cancel Nerdrotic. Nerdrotic is a comedian. He's got a sordid past, but he's atoned for it, and he talks about it. He was, a drug user and whatever else, and he's clean and sober, and he does a great show. He's diligent and fucking smart and funny, very funny. And the people who watch, and when they tell me I just don't like how mean they are or whatever, I'm just I'm sorry, man, you're just missing it. This is the letting off steam that the culture needs, and they're providing it, And I get it. Fuck, oh my God. I like so many of my peers, I do everything I can to try to enjoy as much of this shit as I possibly can. But, I want to talk about that, and we'll talk about the trailers and some of the stuff in a second. But, a lot of my creative peers, and one of my besties, my partner in Blacklight District, Digger, mass shout out to Digger. He and I have had this exchange before about just sort of that you need to be able to take creative liberties with these things, and I do agree that there needs to be some wiggle room for creative liberties.
in it's not to say in some cases, it just needs to be handled correctly. And, there are any creative liberty that is taken should be oh, wow, that has elevated the thing. And I do not feel that that is what is happening all the time here. And instead of, I think because some of these artists are like, well, you win some, you lose some, you don't always elevate the thing. Nah, fuck that shit. For me, especially when you're fucking Disney and you're like, you get to have options and I mean, with freaking AI now, you can get yourself a shitload of different fucking options real quick, and then you're like, okay, and you zero in on something great. Give us something great. I think you can always show up and give something great. I've seen many, many writers do it, for very long periods of time. And then sometimes, they'll struggle. Like Jeff Johns had like a little period where really was not enjoying his work. But he's gotten totally back to form. I think he was just dealing with a lot of editorial decree and things that were just like cramping his style on a lot of levels. And then there are others that I don't think I've ever read anything from them that I didn't like. Like say, I don't know, Warren Ellis. I can't think of anything that I've ever read from him that I didn't like. We like Fell. It's a really cool one he writes. There's a ton. I don't know. I read a decent amount of him. But other writers, they'll age out. They get to a certain point. Like Brian Michael Bendis, at a certain point, his work just started to really lose me over at Marvel, and just got really decompressed. And I don't know. He kind of became like a parody of himself. But to each his own. And then maybe there's other people who don't feel that way. And then there's other people who I'm astounded. They just kind of get better and better over time. I love Joe Kelly. I think is really, really quality. And Paul Jenkins is a wonderful, wonderful writer. And Grant Morrison is freaking great. And Alan Moore is generally pretty great, even though he's very long in the tooth and whatever. But there's so much a shelf life and of some people sometimes. But then there's tons of people who fucking prove that you can keep showing up and you can keep having perspective and you can keep doing it. And a good art director and a good person at the top of the chain at Marvel should be able to make sure that any Marvel movie, any Marvel thing or whatever that we get is the fucking perfect thing. Perfect thing. So, when you take the Eternals and you put such a creative spin on it as to eliminate any possible advertising from the past, from covers to the Eternals issues that people might have seen, guest appearances, certain amount of world that would at least recognize what they look like. Oh, that's Icarus, or oh, that's that Eternals guy. Oh yeah, I remember this character. Okay. Any of the monsters, any of the things from that book, if you brought any of that to life. Similarly, if Captain Marvel, which was like the first Kevin Feige, takeover, which is still what we have in progress, ladies and gentlemen, and he is burning the house to the ground. He is Captain Marvel. You have the visual. I mean, two major visuals. One, Captain Marvel, which they could have had that movie set up to pass the torch to Miss Marvel, have her introduced as Miss Marvel, or just have her introduced and then have her Captain Marvel by the end of it, with doing the death of Captain Marvel. Even if they did some sort of truncated version of that or whatever, where just the death of Captain Marvel was right at the beginning and it was a little bit more like Green Lantern or something like that. Then they had the Supreme Intelligence, one of the coolest visuals in the Marvel Universe, the giant, slimy, globby Kree intelligence in its casing, giving all the information. And they make it Annette Bening or something? What the fuck? It's just... I mean, okay. In that case, everybody was all hyped up about Avengers Endgame and all that stuff, so they didn't have to necessarily deal with the long-term effects. I mean, the short-term effects. But the long-term effects has been... The whole fan base was just like, that movie fucking sucks. And I'm like, just why did they do it like that? Aggravating. It's just like, did nothing good. Did nothing good on any level. And it really didn't. Did nothing good. Nothing good. And Brie Larson did not do anything good for herself the way she went about those press things. The internet just loves to like clip those bad moments, and she got lambasted. So this is the thing. This is this place that we're in. We've got a lot of the creatives, like, in my position, people who are comic book writers, people who are comic book artists, people who produce this stuff on any level, they are trying to be really positive about Fantastic Four, and they're trying to be really positive about Superman. And to some degree, the fans aren't exactly having it. Some of them are, some of them aren't. And it's like, it's very funny because I'm seeing a lot of my friends kind of seething a little bit with like this rage under the surface that like these fans can't be satisfied. But guys, it's not the fans, man. It's not the fans. It's a torturous period of time where they have been generally giving a middle finger to the visual and the continuity and the stuff that matters to the people who have been reading and paying attention. And I understand, because I feel the same way, the idea that you are trying to be hopeful about Fantastic Four and hopeful about Superman, as I am. But you've got to understand, they're so over it. I mean, Star Wars, I think it's done. I don't think there's anything that they can do. Not right now. I mean, if somebody tried to hire me to fix the situation that they're in, honestly, I don't know what I would do. And does it deserve to be fixed? Marvel and DC aren't exactly there because there's so many concepts that have so much promise. If you're a DC fan and you've read fucking Animal Man like me, and you think, man, if there was ever a world where they could honor some of that great Grant Morrison Animal Man run on the big screen, how amazing would that be? If you're a Marvel fan and you thought, man, wouldn't it be incredible if they could actually put the pieces back in place so that we could get some of that Dark Reign storyline where the bad guys are the Avengers and, the heroes are on the run in one way or another, but it mattered, and like it would be cool. There's so many stories, so many from Marvel, so many from DC, so many from, just so many little things and big things, and so much, man. To so many degrees, because they think so little of the material, they rush through it. They just rush through everything. And they don't have to. They really don't have to. They have just a smorgasbord of creative opportunity that has already been proven to be successful and loved. And, just so many trade paperbacks they could go open up and just go adapt that shit lovingly. And of course, adjust things in appropriate ways, but it's about the love, like doing it with a love for the original story. Man, I loved this part. Could we make this part even bigger? That's the kind of shit that you got to bring into the equation. How do we add to this? How do we make this thing that connected with everybody in such a profound way? But they only had a 9-panel grid and 22 pages to tell this story here. How do I open this up a little bit and tell it in an even more grand way? That's it. And you're sometimes things can use a little bit of a creative uplift, but often the best thing that you can do is just figure out how to make the thing that has stood the test of time work as it is. It would have been a really simple thing in that Spider-Man movie for me, the one with Andrew Garfield with the lizard. He should have been in a lab coat. at least for a little while. I mean, you could have had it getting like ripped off at a certain point if you wanted that full lizard look, but there's a reason why that white cutting the black, cutting the green had a good look to it. And it's what the audience is looking to see. And I don't know. Did that lose you a ton of the audience? I don't know. But I think it's losing you repeat views over time. I think not honoring the colorful tapestry of Marvel and DC Comics is losing you repeat viewings over time. Color therapy is a real thing. I do color therapy for myself all the time. Like every room, every office that I've ever been in, it's just loaded with posters, loaded with colors. I need to see colorful things. It helps keep me uplifted. And it's a real thing, you know, like watching movies that, you know, are beautiful for their colors, you know, like coming back around to want to watch something because of how it looks. And these superhero films that are adjusting the thing creatively to such a degree as it just looks less and less like a big deal sci-fi colorful epic, they're doing themselves a major disservice long term. So, do I think that's what's happening here? No. These two, both these trailers, Fantastic Four and Superman, they almost look like they could be in the same world. It's interesting that they're coming at the same time. But I really think that despite having the appropriate looks in a lot of the right ways, there's a lot of subtle things that are going on that at least I'm not saying that it's an overwhelming meh that's going on, but it's a quiet kind of meh that's going on. Like everybody's kind of waiting to be impressed. And people are finding some of their problems with the thing more egregious than their, you know, happiness with the thing. You know, like case in point, the thing. And this for me is the biggest one in particular. I mean, like, and it's very bothersome to me. Okay, I love the thing. I've read so many Thing solo comic books. I've read so many Thing team up comic books. I love the Thing, the ever-loving blue-eyed Thing. You know, he's supposed to be this New York Jew, and I relate to that. I'm Jewish by blood, and my family's from New York, and he just had all these great little catchphrases, you know, from, you know, just talking about his sweet Aunt Petunia and the Yancey Street Gang, and you know, I'm trying to think of if you were more like, oh, what a revolting development. What a revolting development. There were so many things that he said and would say regularly, and of course, you know, it's clobbering time, and oh shit, man. That guy's voice who's playing the Thing, like, I can't see him saying it's clobbering time, like, at all. I can't see it. Like, I don't, it's going to be, like, and then he's, like, talking about his food or some shit. He's, like, talking to the robot about, like, his dinner. That shit just made me want to, what a revolting development, I thought. What a revolting development, I thought. Yeah, not the Thing voice is like so crucial. It's like I've just seen them get it right in so many damn places. You know, Michael Chiklis got it right, and friggin', you know, I don't remember if the other dude got it right. I didn't care enough about that movie to even think about his rock voice. I got to imagine he did some sort of rocky voice. No effect on it, anything. He just sounds like a dweeb. That was very disappointing to me as a Thing fan. I'm just saying, like, I don't want to watch a Thing movie now. I would have been in for a Thing solo project. Thing and Wolverine team up, like, in. Thing and Spider-Man, in. Like, I'm fucking in. Like, I would have been in. Like, if he got the Thing right, I would have been in for a lot of shit. And I think I think your audience feels the same way. If you got the thing right, I would have been in for a lot of shit. And going back over to Superman, I mean, fuck, dudes. You kind of had lightning in a bottle with Henry Cavill. He gets it. He gets being a fan. It seems he really is a fan. He really got into the Witcher games, or was already into the Witcher games, and was kind of like put himself out there when he saw the thing come up because he was a fan. Similarly with Superman, he handled the spotlight and the critiques of what was going on with Superman very well, and he talked correctly about really hoping to get an opportunity to give the fans what they wanted to see from a Superman movie. And we were on his side, baby. We were on his side. We were about that shit. And because we didn't show up to see the fucking stinger in Black Adam, like you were like, nah, fuck it, we don't want to pay him the money or whatever. Dude, I think that was a bit of a mistake. I mean, I'm just saying, if you had Cavill, I don't think there would be so much discussion about what's going on here. If you had Cavill, I don't think everybody would be going, I think everybody would go, all right, they would be giving it a chance because they were on his side. So like, oh, fuck, boy, you put yourselves in a shitty position. And really, this is the position that both films are in, of like, they have to show up and do it. I think Superman has a better chance of success. And maybe it's only because of the sort of length to which I think miscasting has gone on in terms of this Fantastic Four movie. There was something that I didn't notice watching it. I watched it, and it's just something about it. A lot of it didn't feel authentic to me. I liked aspects of it. There's certain things I really liked, but there was a couple things, like the Thing's voice, which I really I didn't kind of quite put together until afterwards. And one of them was they gave Reed Richards a mustache. I guess because Pedro Pascal looks good in a mustache. And it just plays different. It at a glance, when he's in a suit and he's not in his Fantastic Four costume and all this stuff, I don't read him in my mind as Reed Richards. I had accepted he was Reed Richards because I was told already, and I knew that it was announced he was Reed Richards. But he's not a good Reed Richards. We really needed somebody like a Robert Downey Jr., and I don't mean Robert Downey Jr. I mean a unique somebody with real charisma that could take on the part with an excitement for intelligence and science that made it fun and that was charming. I don't think this... I don't know. Pedro Pascal, like he doesn't strike me as a physicist. I mean, it's just, I don't know. At least in this capacity, I don't know, maybe in another capacity, I might believe it, like as Reed Richards. I don't know. I've read so many Fantastic Four comic books over the years. I think a lot of the creative people, they're trying to like be cool with this, but I see why the fans aren't with it. And then the lady Vanessa Kirby, I think her name is, who's playing the Invisible Woman. There's been sort of suggestions that, well, whatever the details, but that she's not exactly the right pick. I do think the two of them didn't seem like they had much chemistry, and they both seemed a bit wooden. And for me, Invisible Woman had always been warm. Invisible Woman was somebody with a warmth who was unifying the family, keeping them together. who was the center of the family, really the most important character in the book. And I don't know, like I did not feel endeared to her in the trailer so far, at least. I don't, and I kind of feel like, again, it's like these two should have been like comedic actors, or just some people with some real charm. And then you go to the thing, his voice is all wrong, so that throws me off. But he looks great. And then you go to Johnny, who looks okay. It's strange. We love this guy. He's the guy from Stranger Things, who's the dude in the leather jacket, the Maiden fan, the heavy metal kid. I forget what his name is. And I loved him in Stranger Things. He was great. But he was great playing a dweeb, because he's not a particularly naturally handsome guy. He's a little interesting looking. I'm not dissing the man. He's just, I would say, not a traditionally handsome kind of guy. And that's the Johnny thing. And it's really necessary, because it's a juxtaposition with Johnny and Ben. Ben has been cursed to look not so great, and Johnny is cursed to look good all the time and be a dick to Ben. So it's just like this, not only are you going to be blessed with a face, I'm going to smash it. That's like the basic little dynamic there. And I think they're just kind of pushing it a little bit with this guy as like a heartthrob. We like him, and he's charming and he's cool, but I don't know. And I was sort of surprised that we didn't really get any personality out of him in this trailer. So again, I can see the audience going, yeah, what the fuck? So the question is Marvel, is DC going to be able to dig out of this? And what would be the process? And the honest answer to this is no. Right now, there's only one real solution to these things being what they hope they could be. Okay, and that is them being genuinely incredible. If both of these movies are genuinely incredible, or either of these movies are genuinely incredible, I believe that the audience will find itself, it will find its legs, and they'll become successful. But they are heading into their releases and their things in very, very murky territory. Plenty of people can be having the good attitudes and keeping it positive, whatever, but there is a quiet, they've already failed on a bunch of levels, and they're really going to have to succeed on every other level than the superficial ones that they're failing on already. Because every single one of them is just oh, look, they're doing the same thing. Oh, look, this is the same thing. Same thing, same thing, same thing. So come previews, and if you don't see them release these things to audiences and reviewers until the day of, that's going to be a bad sign. And they'll be successful on some levels, but they're not going to be the successes that they need them to be for the money that they keep spending on these films. And there's really seemed to be no end to the ridiculous budgets that they are putting forth for these movies, for so many reasons. I mean, it's just like this shit could be done better for less, and it's insane what they're spending, because it makes the expectations for these movies so high. Like, they're essentially making these superhero films failures right out the gate, and making my whole industry look bad, kind of thing, because they're poorly managing the money. They would just scale these things back in general a little bit. They would stay profitable, and and it would make sense to make them and figure out how to do it the right way. But right now they're just overspending and just crashing all these things. Every single one of these movies at Marvel lately, besides Deadpool and the Spider-Man movie, they are disasters in one way or another. They really are not adding up. And, like the way the trades and the things that you'll read in your magazines, those numbers are just these very, how do you say, just the industry is looking over them, and they're looking out for the industry, and they're putting forth the numbers that the industry wants you to have, as opposed to the actual numbers. And, I follow a lot of different people. Like there's this dude, Valiant Renegade, who I recommend, and WDW Pro, Walt Disney World Pro, who are on YouTube separately. And together sometimes. And they cover just the numbers, black and white, of what's really going on. Their tax returns, like looking at the stuff, because they have to file this stuff. And when you look at the real numbers, and it takes a while to get the real numbers. So when they're putting out some of these sums and they're saying, oh, it's this and that, like by the time the numbers are all done being added up, it is next level sometimes what they have actually spent on these films. So, these movies really have to they have to be good. They have to be good. Fantastic Four has to be good. I think Fantastic Four is most in jeopardy. And, the reviews that come out, people have to say, oh, man, that was really good. The whole first round of reviews has to be, I was so fucking surprised. That was so great. They need to get like a ton of great reviewers going, magical, blah, 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 blah. Like they need to have quotes and stuff, but like ones that matter. That sound real and like are from Nerdrotic and friggin' the Critical Drinker. That's what they need. They need those people to go, oh, this movie's great, actually. If that happens, these will be successful. If that does not happen, if there is not a generally universal excitement about these movies when they start getting seen by the critics that matter and by the fans, the fans that matter, and the fans fucking matter. Don't you discount the fans. Your biggest fan of whatever thing, he has phone lines, and people call him because he cares about things that they don't care about. But when they hear about these things, they go, oh, that's an excuse to go talk with my loved one. And they reach out to them. And they go, oh, yeah, is you excited about the thing? And they go, oh, no. Well, they don't see it. If they go, oh, yeah, I'm excited. Well, then they go see it because they want to have something to talk to at Thanksgiving dinner with their friends and their family. There are people who care about this shit within society, and we make the world go round for these whole franchises. And if we don't like the thing, it doesn't get spread around. Our excitement doesn't get spread around. I don't know. That doesn't make the friend that we're talking to about it do the thing. Like, it just doesn't happen. No, that doesn't turn into a ticket sale for you. So it just behooves you guys to get us excited, to not make all these little mistakes, to not give Ben Grimm a terrible voice and have him fucking talking all dainty about freaking food. Like, what an asshole. I don't understand that shit at all. And I mean, like, there's some things in it that looked good. Galactus's head is kind of nice to see him, even though it kind of looked maybe a little small. I am hopeful. I don't want it to suck. I want it to be great. But as of right now, I'm not super hopeful. And, and similarly with Superman, I mean, seeing everything hasn't exactly changed my initial concerns. But I'm going to go into these movies with like super low expectations. And hopefully I'll enjoy the fuck out of them, whether you do or not. But the facts are, if it's not great and if it's not coming out that it's really great, I may see it. But most people won't. This wait and see energy, that's not good. And that's not going to get them the numbers that they need. Anyway, this about wraps up this conversation on another awesome Coolest Geek Alive. I love you for listening. Thank you guys for tuning in. I hope you're listening to my new Friday show, Everything They Don't Want You to Know. Of course, last week I did kind of a joined episode because I was running a little late and it just kind of made sense to do it. But this week I'll be doing something, I don't know, something important that they don't want you to know. I haven't figured it out yet. But when I get there, I will. If you want to write me a letter, you can. Jesse Blaze at jesseblaze.snider.com. I'm pretty sure that is just Jesse Blaze, jesseblaze.snider.com. Anyway, I love you guys, and I will talk to you soon. See you next time on another fabulous episode of the Coolest Geek Alive. Oh, and there will be a Saturday episode this week. I got a really funny movie that I'm going to recommend to you guys. All right, later. You've been listening to Coolest Geek Alive with me, your host, Jesse Blaze Snider. Don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe for more excellent geek culture content. Thanks for listening.
It's my favorite part. Isn't that heavy? I played that. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Coolest alive. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Stay with your tribe. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Revenge of the Geeks. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Week after weeks. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Laughing with you. It's gonna be fucking awesome. And crying sometimes too. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Spelling it out. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Making you shout. I'm a genius. I got lyrics coming out me bum for days. You like that? It's a kazoo solo. I played that too. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Talking some shit. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Living your shit. My voice is fucking awesome. Food in our mouth. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Get in the mouth. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Tell all your friends. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Call right or text. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Raising the bar. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Straight to the stars. It's gonna be fucking awesome. It's starting soon. Straight to the top of the awesome. Passing the moon. It's gonna be fucking awesome. On with the show. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Ready, set, go. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Fucking awesome. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Just wait. You'll see. You'll all see.
The podcast playground.